Greetings, this is Gambians VIP Magazine VIP TV News and I am Rohi Cham. Thanks for joining. First, our headlines. Fish vendors decry increase in fish prices amid COVID-19. Canifin General Hospital converted to COVID-19 treatment center. State Council asked court not to allow Yankuba Toure to testify in his murder case. Court finds 3 Jalo Koto residents for failing to wear face mask. OIC Gambia Secretariat optimistic of a successful summit despite COVID-19. GAP urges government to reopen places of worship. Gambians in Lebanon vandalize Consulate. Now the news in detail. Fish vendors decry increase in fish prices amid COVID-19. Amid the rapid surge of COVID-19 cases in the country, local fish vendors within the communities of Gunjur, Sanyang and Tanje have decried the current rise in prices of fish due to the less activity of fishing vessels. Many vendors, especially women, explain that the increase in the price of fish is caused by less fishing activities as government put in measures to curb the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. Salimeto Sise, one of the fish vendors in Gunjur, said the normal price of fish per basket has increased, saying that never happened before the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. I can tell you that the entire fishing industry is affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Emerging a basket of fish is now sold for $1,300 in other landing sites. It costs more than that, she said. We really face some challenges dealing with our customers, but we have no choice than to sell at high prices due to the increase in fish basket prices, Salimato added. Ibrahim Juf, a fisherman at Tanje Fish Landing site, also stated that the COVID-19 pandemic and the current surge in positive cases have forced many fisher folks to limit fishing activities. He said before the pandemic, we used to have many fishing vessels in the sea that would make a huge supply of fishes in the local market. But with the outbreak of the virus, including government restrictions, few boats are now engaging in fishing. He indicated that the Senegalese fishermen who went to their country for the past Tobaski couldn't return to the border closure, adding that contributed to the increase of fish prices. Canifin General Hospital converted to COVID-19 treatment center. Ministry of Health has announced that effective Monday, 24th August 2020, Canifin General Hospital will be used as COVID-19 treatment center. According to the Director of Health Services, Dr. Mustafa Abite, the move was prompted by the increasing demand for bed space for COVID-19 patients in the country. The hospital management held an extraordinary meeting on Friday, 14 August 2020 to discuss strategies and mechanisms for the smooth transition of the hospital to a COVID-19 treatment facility. The hospital management at each challenging moment of our country's history solicits the cooperation, support and understanding of all as it continues to work with relevant stakeholders towards providing the right and conducive environment for staff to operate safely and efficiently. State Council asked court not to allow Yankuba Toure to testify in his murder case. Consul Kimbeng Tita, who appeared for the state in the case of retired Captain Yankuba Toure, has on Wednesday asked the court not to allow the defendant to testify in his case. He made the argument that Abdullah Sissaho, the consul of Yankuba Toure, on Wednesday, 19 August 2020, applied for the court to allow his client to testify in his case. Consul Sissaho told the court that he has 2 more witnesses who are supposed to testify before the court, but they are abroad and could not make it, and that is why he is applying for the court to allow the accused person to testify. Consul Abdullah Sissaho initially wanted the court to issue an order granting leave to the defense witnesses Mami Minte Toure, Bakari Minte, and Mariama Minte to give their oral testimonies in this case, that is remote hearing. He also made an application for the court to issue an order directing the Judicial Secretary to make the necessary arrangements with the IT department of the Judiciary to provide the necessary equipment and machinery for the hearing of the witnesses remotely. Justice Ibrahim Jaita of the Banjul High Court dismissed Counsel Abdullah Sissaho's application for the court to grant 3 of his witnesses virtual hearing. Counsel Kimbang Tita said if the accused person wanted to testify in his own case, he, the accused, should have been the first person to give his testimony as the first defense witness, but cannot testify after 2 of the defense witnesses have already given their evidence before the court. He said, if the accused person has shown the desire to testify before the court, he would have testified first, and I'm sure that the defense is aware of that. The State Council argued that according to Section 240 subsection 4 of the CPC, an accused can open his defense and first testify, but cannot give any evidence before the court after another witness has testified, adding that subsection 4 is a mandatory requirement. 53-year-old Toure was a long-serving Minister of Local Government and Lands. Retired Captain Toure was also a member of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council, AFPRC, after they overthrew the PPP 30-year rule. The former military officer turned politician was accused of the murder of the former Minister of Finance, Usman Korosise, under the AFPRC ring. The prosecution alleged that Toure, now a businessman, used a pestle-like weapon to murder Sise in June 1995 at his residence. Toure denied any wrongdoing as he pleaded his constitutional immunity, but the court entered a plea of not guilty for him. Court finds 3 Jalokota residents for failing to wear face masks. A trial magistrate in Brikama has on Monday fined 3 residents of Fonyi Jalokota $1,000 each for violating the compulsory face mask wearing regulations, according to the Foroya newspaper. The 3 were Ali Jiba, the ward council of Jalokota, Omar Jiba, and Sadibu Jiba. All of them have paid their fine. The accused persons were charged with 4 counts: violating compulsory face mask wearing regulations, obstruction of police officers, willful damage, and conspiracy to commit felony. The informant added that the accused persons pleaded guilty on only 2 accounts, that are violating face mask regulations and willful damage. The court adjourned the case to 31st August 2020 to hear the other charges, the source concluded. It could be recalled that tension erupted between the police and some youth of Fonyi Jalokota last Saturday. The confrontation led to the arrest of the 3 accused persons. OIC Gambia Secretariat optimistic of a successful summit despite COVID-19. Mfali Fadera, the head of brand and communication of the Organization of the Islamic Cooperation, said they have no reason whatsoever to believe that the pandemic will affect the hosting of the OIC summit in the Gambia. Fadera said the leadership of the OIC Gambia and its partners remain on track and are working relentlessly to making sure we have a successful event. He said 20 new modern roads will be constructed across the Greater Banjul area. Additionally, the Bethel-Hardin Highway will be expanded into a dual carriage alongside a pedestrian walkway on each side. The communication specialist said all the roads will be fitted with street lights, drainage systems, footpaths, among other modern features where applicable. The routes are strategically chosen in a way that will reduce pressure on major highways in the country in order to address traffic logjam or severe delays. He said the budgeted amount for the construction of the 20 new roads is $50 million, including to the design, supervision, and construction. Adding to the Bethel-Hardin, the estimated budget based on a feasibility study conducted is $75.7 million. He explained that the funding for the 20 new modern roads 50 km, which has already been acquired, is a loan through the Saudi fund. The hosting of the OIC Summit in the Gambia and its related projects developments will have immeasurable impact on the progress of the country. He said they will build new roads to ease movement, boost commerce, improve growth, and improve the urban area. By building the largest conference hall in the West African sub-region and a VVIP lounge at the Banjul International Airport. This will position the Gambia as the leading conference destination in West Africa. He detailed that they will build a 5-star hotel and urged the standards of local ones with a view of preserving Gambia's preeminent position as the smiling coast of Africa. Additionally, he said they will work with the police and other security agencies to equip and improve their capacities to keep the streets safe. While doing all of these, we will be creating thousands of jobs for women and young people in the country, Fadera said. On how the contracts will be awarded, Mr. Fadera said all the contracts will be awarded through competitive bidding as per the guidelines of the funding age. GAP urges government to reopen places of worship. The Gambia Action Party, GAP, has appealed to the government to reopen places of worship so that believers can jointly seek divine intervention in the battle against COVID-19. The party Secretary General Musa Bachele said it will be monumental for Gambians when collective prayer is allowed in mosques again. Mosques and churches fulfill a vital spiritual dimension in the lives of Muslims and Christians, and its reopening will play a huge role in providing a memorable flame of hope to the country, according to the Standard newspaper. Bachelor said if markets are allowed to operate, mosques should not be allowed to reopen with appropriate safety measures to minimize risks. The markets are filled with people with no social distancing being observed. There is no justification for closing the mosque. He argued that the Barrow administration must free itself from foreign influence. While expressing his party's overwhelming gratitude to those who fought for Gambia's freedom from British rule, Bachelor argued that the West African country under the leadership of President Adama Barrow is gradually becoming a puppet for foreign actors. GAP vehemently rejects the current stance of the government on our foreign policy, he said. Gambians stranded in Lebanon, the GAP leader called on the government to expedite the repatriation of Gambians stranded in the Middle East. Gambians in Lebanon and elsewhere in the Middle East have raised an alarm detailing their suffering and demanding the government to return them home. We are deeply troubled by the Gambian government's inaction in addressing the dire conditions of hundreds of Gambians stranded across several countries in the Middle East. We urge the government to come to their aid in the quickest time possible as their lives are in danger, he charged. The party also appealed to the government to henceforth desist from appointing foreign nationals to serve as country's consuls. Gambians in Lebanon vandalize Consulate. Some stranded Gambians in Lebanon on Wednesday vandalized the Gambian consulate in Beirut in an apparent explosion of fury and frustration over their continued stay in that country. Gambia Foreign Ministry sources confirmed that the assault on the Gambia's diplomatic compound in Beirut by the disgruntled Gambians. Pictures of the vandalism have also emerged on social media. Some Gambians in Lebanon, that are at least 45 of them, most of them young ladies, were stranded in troubled country and seeking help to be repatriated. According to the Standard, the Gambia's consul in Beirut said that efforts were underway to repatriate the stranded Gambians. Earlier this month, the Gambia Foreign Ministry announced it was working on repatriating them to Banjul. But pushed to the end of their theaters and at the apparent inaction from the officials, the aggrieved Gambians stormed the Beirut consulate where they caused damages to the property. Indeed, we have received report that the Gambian consulate in Beirut has been vandalized by some Gambians stranded in Lebanon. Foreign Ministry spokesman Sekou Cissé told the Standard. We condemn in no uncertain term this willful damage to property. The property housing the Gambian consulate in Beirut is a private one. We urge all Gambians to exercise their right to protest through peaceful means, he stated. Asked about the situation of the protesters, Cissé reported that attempts were made by the Lebanese authorities to arrest the vandals. But it was the honorary consul who interceded on their behalf to avert this because preparations are at advanced stage for their return home and arresting them will cause delays. We have already sought waivers and emergency passports. We are approved and stamped by the Immigration Department in Beirut, he said. However, he could not say exactly which day the stranded Gambians will be airlifted. Over the past year, the economic situation in the Middle Eastern country has pushed tens of thousands of people into poverty, foremost migrant workers like the now stranded Gambians. A cataclysmic blast at the port in the nation's capital earlier this month sent the country's battered economy hurtling towards a dangerous unknown. This is the end of Gambians VIP Magazine VIP TV News. Let's recap our headlines. Fish vendors decry increase in fish prices amid COVID-19. Kanifing General Hospital converted to COVID-19 treatment center. State Council asked court not to allow Yankuba Toure to testify in his murder case. Court finds 3 Jalokoto residents failing to wear their face mask. OIC Gambia Secretariat optimistic of a successful summit despite COVID-19. GAP urges government to reopen places of worship. Gambians in Lebanon vandalize Consulate. This was the end of the news and thanks for joining.